I sent over 2,400 LinkedIn messages in the last 30 days. Here is what actually happened. Let's take a look. 2,422 LinkedIn messages sent, 142 replies, 73 real conversations, and over 19 booked calls. And if we take a look at one of my HeyReach dashboards right now, you can see that we had just around 1,500 people accepting our connection requests, which is about 21% of people that we're trying to connect with. We have a 25% reply rate, with 6% of our emails being replied to right now. And that's on a sample size of around 300 emails being sent out. And spoiler alert, here is the surprising part. The volume is not the thing that made this kind of LinkedIn outreach work. Half of our campaigns completely failed. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what happened in our most popular campaigns, what worked, what flopped, what variables actually brought more positive replies, and what I'd do differently if I ran this all over again today. By the way, if we haven't met already, my name is Tim Jacobson, and I'm the founder of an agency called B2B Boosted, which implements fancy AI and automation tools like Clay.com, Claude Code, NA10, and so on. And I also am the founder of Unlock Courses, which is the best place to learn all of these cool new technologies like Clay, NA10, Claude Code, Cursor, and a bunch of other cool tools. Since I've already collected over 50 testimonials from go-to-market teams and startups that we've worked with in the past, implementing super similar HeyReach driven outbound systems, it's about time that I pull back the curtains and show you the exact workflow that we use in order to generate over 12 qualified meetings every single month using a mix of HeyReach campaigns and cold email outreach campaigns. However, before I jump into the campaign analytics, let me just clarify, we're not just shamelessly pitch slapping innocent prospects using our HeyReach campaigns, but instead we're trying to create an experiment whereby in each campaign we're trying to isolate just one variable so that we can A/B test different types of copy, different type of ICPs, and so on. So for the purpose of the campaigns that I'm about to share with you, we're going to be talking about the campaigns that target the same ideal client profile, in this case being decision makers at law firms, within the same time frame of the last 90 days, and we will be comparing the results that we got across two different variations of 3-message campaigns inside of HeyReach. Now let's start off with campaign A, and this was one of the worst campaigns that I've ever run, and I just thought it's important to share this campaign regardless of how it performed. And in this case, we were going after any of the 83,000 people that follow this specific law practice firm called Cooley LLP, and this is a very well-renowned law firm globally. And in this instance, we were reaching out to people following this company because our client used to work there, and for that reason that could serve as a good opening. So essentially, we did what most people do. We pulled a list of people that follow that company on LinkedIn using a tool called scrapely.io. And to be honest, I was quite lazy with this specific campaign, so in hindsight, no wonder it failed, because we basically only filtered for the partner roles, and the message was pretty straightforward. It just basically said, hey, first name, saw you already follow Cooley, which is this really cool global law firm. Guessing you used them in the past, ? And that was it. That was literally the first message. And you can see, based on this, we sent 793 connection requests. Even though 28% of those people have actually accepted the connection requests, we got 4 replies, of which 0 were positive. But in this case, we just did the bare minimum, right? We just filtered for people based on them following a specific company on LinkedIn, and we just filtered for their job titles. We didn't pre-qualify them based on anything. We didn't mention any sort of like sales signals or triggers or anything of that sort, apart from them following a specific company. And for all that we know, it could just be a partner whose cousin works at this specific law firm. That's why he follows this specific company, right? This generated 0 positive replies, and I was actually quite upset at the time until we discovered campaign B, which we're about to jump into. Now, campaign B was the polar opposite, so let's take a look at the stats first. You can see that only 134 people accepted our connection request. So they were quite skeptical. In total, it was 29.3% of people that actually connected with us. However, out of those 134 people that connected with us, 47 had replied to our messages, of which we booked over 12 for sales calls with this specific client. So let's take a look at the magical template that we've sent out to this specific prospect in the first message. And in this case, we only slightly tweaked the messaging. We said, hey, first name, saw you already follow this company. Guessing you heard about the redundancies over that company, question mark. And for context, this company experienced a lot of redundancies with a lot of partners leaving this company. So for that reason, if we're reaching out to any of the existing customers or anything of that sort who compete directly with our clients for services and products that they sell, in that case, it already adds a degree of skepticism for the prospects that we're reaching out to. And in case if they actually don't know that that company experienced a lot of redundancies, they might be a bit more worried, and hence they will be more open to alternative solutions like our client's software. In terms of the ICP, we haven't really done anything differently this time. We only disqualified any companies that were not in the 50 to 150 employee range, because typically our clients-based best ICP leads are in that 50 to 150 employee range. We also made sure to qualify that the lawyers were in-house lawyers rather than working for law firms already, which of course refined that list and meant that the list is a lot shorter. However, that list was far better segmented. And looking back at this now, no wonder that this campaign performed so much better, because yes, we only tried reaching out to 458 people, but it's far better to reach out to 500 people than to 2,000 people, but rather with a better segmented message. And in this case, that message about the redundancies over at a competitor firm was very, very relevant. We didn't need to personalize and tweak that message for each individual recipient. And that was really, really eye-opening for us, since this was one of the early campaigns that were launched for this specific client. Now, let's just cover the top 3 things that made the difference between these 2 campaigns. First of all, segmentation of lead lists. What I mean by that, in the first example, we only filtered out for anyone who's not a partner. However, in the second example, we segmented the list far better by segmenting for in-house lawyers versus lawyers over at actual law firms, which is a huge distinction to make. And that way, we created a far more granular lead list. Now, in campaign B, we also used a lot more curiosity-driven language in the messaging. Of course, when we ask a question about something like, oh, I assume that you've heard about the redundancies at competitor A, question mark. Something like that drives a lot more curiosity than just asking, oh, I guess you use that competitor already. And thirdly, the other thing that I just found out only after launching this campaign and only after triple checking today, we've actually sent the second campaign that performed so much better, 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. Monday to Friday, as opposed to sending it from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. So we're just trying to capture their attention in the first half of the day. And to be honest, that was quite random. You know, causation, correlation, you tell me which one it is, but I just thought that was quite insightful as well. And by the way, message 2 and message 3 remained absolutely the same, so for that reason, we're not really diving into that. In this case, what didn't matter was the AI personalization, long messaging, mentioning a lot of different data points and observations, or overcomplicating the hooks. And no, we didn't even research their zodiac sign or the name of their dog, or we didn't have to scrape their entire LinkedIn profile, because I think a lot of the time that can just be a bit of an overkill. And of course, as always, the real takeaway is that high volume definitely works, but only when you segment those lists correctly. Now, don't get me wrong, this was just one piece of the puzzle. If you want to see how to build some great lead lists using all sorts of web scraping tools, and if you want to see how we use a combination of Clay and Twain in order to personalize messages for each individual lead, check out the video popping up on your screen right here, right now. But more importantly, just double check that you're subscribed to the HeyReach and to the Tim Jakobsen YouTube channels so that you can stay on top of the best LinkedIn campaign tactics that we will be oversharing with you in the coming weeks. Anyways, I'll see you in that video.